folks! So in my last video about rates, I covered deciding your rates, but I forgot to cover the practice of assigning different rates to different styles of photography. In practice, this typically looks like charging something like $50 an hour for clothes work, $60 an hour for swimwear, $75 an hour for lingerie, $90 an hour for topless or implied, and $100 an hour for nude. The prices range, but that's usually how the lineup goes, where the price relies on the amount of skin shown or the acceptability of it in the realm of differentiating swimwear from lingerie. Now, this might seem like a reasonable way to go, and it's something that you really need to be aware of, because if you're doing that research I recommended and looking at what area models are charging, you may run into a lot of models doing this. Unfortunately, this is often seen as the mark of an amateur. These rates are jokingly called stripper rates, so if you hear the term, that's what it means. I typically don't use it. I think it gets into just way too judgmental of sex work, but it really is seen as the mark of an amateur to split up your rates like that. Now, what you can do if you don't want to have one blanket rate is do a split from clothed work and whatever that encompasses for you to nude work and whatever that encompasses for you. So say topless, implied, and nude are all one rate, and clothes, lingerie, swimwear are all one rate. Personally, I do have one rate split, and that is I differentiate between my rate for everything and my rates for most erotic and fetish work. So there is, in practice, you can still have some rate differences. I have a couple of different rates for different styles of fetish and erotic work. My rate for an erotic shoot in a fashion erotic style is going to be different than my rate for a bondage shoot, which I actually charge more for, not because of the content, but because of the stress it puts on my body. For a long while that fell in my normal rates, but now, ever since the car accident I was in, I have to charge more because doing a bondage shoot actually puts me out of commission for several days. I can't do any other photo shoots until my muscles have recovered from the strain. So that's something to consider too. How much stress is being put on your body? I've seen a lot of models who will differentiate and have a higher rate for snow shoots or shoots that require them to be in cold water. So that's something to consider. But in terms of just having a different rate across the board for every style, every genre you might shoot, and especially for the different layers of clothing, I really strongly urge you to consider not doing that. And the biggest reason why isn't even that it makes you look like an amateur, but it's a pain to keep track of. Seriously, you're not usually hired for just one thing or the other. You're going to get shoots where somebody wants to shoot some fashion and some swimwear and some lingerie and then maybe a topless implied. And if you charge different rates for all of that, people start really counting the minutes and trying to be like, okay, well, you were in clothes for 15 minutes and you were topless for only 5, and it gets really, really hard to keep track of, and it turns payment into a hassle. So it's much easier to just have the 1 or 2 rates, and if you do have the 2 rates, I recommend only splitting it down to the hour or the half hour at minimum, because you don't want people counting those minutes. It just turns into way more of a hassle than it's worth, and it detracts from the shoot overall. It takes the focus off of creating art, creating you know, in terms of commercial shots or whatever, creating a good portfolio work, creating something to market yourself with. It takes the focus off of that and turns it on to money and time and penny pinching, and for me it really detracts from a shoot. So those are my thoughts on so-called stripper rates. If you have them and they work for you, let me know. I'm interested to hear opposing viewpoints on this topic. If you're a photographer or a model, I'd love to hear what you think of people setting their rates this way. And yeah, as always, any questions, let me know. If you don't know what to set your rates as still, feel free to go watch my video on setting rates. It has a lot of tips to help you with that. If this was helpful, please subscribe to my channel. I'm posting daily throughout February, and then I'll be posting at least weekly after that. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. See you next time.